I grew up knowing, feeling different. Like I didn't belong in this world, that I just didn't fit in. I was too smart for normal classes. I was bad at social stuff.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unemployable, the podcast, where we strive to inspire and amplify disabled voices in the business landscape. I'm your host, Sara Sadia, and our mission is to ensure that future generations of entrepreneurs with a disability are seen, heard, and celebrated. So let's jump in and explore what's possible. Today, I have the beautiful Sara. I was going to say Sara Louise, but that's your business
Sara
name, right?
Louise, yeah. Sara Louise. Now I am, newly married, so I now use the word the Knight. So Sara Louise
Yes, I saw
Knight.
Sara Knight on your email. So congratulations on your being a newlywed as well.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we've
Yep.
been together probably longer than that, but
Okay, well, there you go. There you go. So Sara Louise Photography offers professional, candid photography services, specialising in family portraits, events, and mini sessions. But what makes this business unique is Sara's autism spectrum disorder perspective, which allows her to capture beauty and emotions that others might miss. This perspective, combined with professional training, enables them to create authentic and emotional images that resonate deeply with clients. This business prides itself on a personalized approach, ensuring that each shoot feels special and tailored to the individual or the event. Okay, and you're also about to share your journey through authoring as well. Is that right?
yes. So yeah, we'll just add that, authoring as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we've got lots to talk about today and lots to get through. So Sara, I was just wondering if you could give us a little bit of a background on your journey, on starting a business and your journey with disability.
Where do I start? I grew up in a not very nice household. My mother was a teenage pregnancy mother, and obviously she had her own demons with that in the process of raising a child, especially someone as gifted as me, and all that sort of stuff and cultural stuff as well. So I grew up. I grew up in an abusive household, and where belting was a regular fixture. I think by age 9, I learned how to break the wooden spoon with my butt cheek.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't and my siblings never went through that except for my brother James. He went through similar stuff to me, but he was a stepchild to my biological father. So he has his own demons that he's also having to deal with. So we grew up in this household where my mother absolutely hated me, and she could sit there and deny it till the cows come home, but it's clear as day I was the reason that she never got to be a marine biologist and that, because she got pregnant on a park bench with me.
Which is actually entirely your fault, right?
Oh yeah, it's entirely my fault. I did it all. And I grew up with that anxiety and all that. I never had a lot of friends growing up. We moved around a lot, but I didn't realize how different I was. So at age 9, I was reading encyclopedias because they were interesting for me. I wanted to know information, knowledge, all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to know everything, learn everything. I was obsessed with animals. I wanted to be a veterinarian. Dr. Harry Cooper, loved watching Dr. Harry Cooper. Watch James Herriot. So a lot of people won't know who he is, but he was a veterinarian who wrote books. And my grandmother used to get me a lot of stuff like that as well. So I guess the reason I'm not insane is because my grandmother, she was my saving grace in all of everything.
It's really nice that you had a safe person that you could go to and talk to in your grandmother.
When they went fighting, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of back and forth. So I grew up very different, and I grew up feeling different. Like I didn't belong in this world, that I just didn't fit in. I was too smart for normal classes. I was bad at social stuff. I think I was still wetting my pants up until year 3, as well as coming from a home with so much abuse as well. Like all these things, like no one actually figured out that I was autistic. I think Mrs. Jordan, who was my kindergarten teacher, brought my mother in for a conversation. I was sitting right there, and I remember this conversation. She said, I have a 5-year-old reading novels. We need to do something. I did struggle and I did get bored a lot. I'd finish work and I hated not getting an A. It would absolutely freak me out. social things, like all that sort of stuff, was very, very hard for me to normally make friends, but adding like all the other stuff as well was really, really hard. So I ended up in a few bad relationships, combination of domestic violence and, wanting to be loved growing up, just wanting to be accepted and loved. I ended up in not one, not two, but three different types of domestic violent relationships.
Which from people that I've spoken to, is a common practice when you're not really sure when you fit in the world. You're trying to mask, you're trying to make people feel comfortable. You think you kind of, this is how life is, and you maybe just, there's a lot of reasons that people do this, but it is a common thread that I've had from talking to people as well.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very common for any neurodivergent person because we're not so accepted. Our uniqueness makes us weird. And then I think I really started standing up for myself on the 24th of December, 2008. And that day I met a lovely police officer, Senior Sergeant Atkinson. So by this stage, I was that depressed, that lonely. I had tried to start unaliving myself. I had 5 attempts, and my last attempt was that day. And I met Senior Sergeant Atkinson and had this conversation with him. He treated me like a human being. He told me that they weren't worth this. And I don't know what it was. It was just something snapped in my brain and completely changed everything, which led me on to the whirlwind path that I'm on now. I left my ex after he tried to kill me.
Oh my goodness.
I was doing like a slow leave process, and unfortunately that didn't work out so well. So it was like the 6th of August 2009, he tried to choke me to death. And it's so easy to remove the emotion. That's the gift of autism. You can take that away.
Was it did he have charges pressed against him?
I was in the process of it, but I was still very naive. And then he teamed up with my mother, and they went to Department of Community Justice to have my 3 girls taken away, thinking that they would get them. It backfired massively, and my 3 girls have their own story. Like, they're also neurodivergent, but they ended up in care, ended up in series of cycles of abuse themselves. So, and I fought for 17 years. Like, I was not going to let go. My children were wrongly removed. I went, I asked for help, and this is what I got,
Another very, very common story with neurodivergent mothers as well, asking for help.
I had so much paperwork, like they literally counted around my kitchen bin, which changed with each affidavit. It was like, oh, there was 32 flies, and then the next one there was 6 flies, and all that sort of stuff. So like right now, my girls and I are in the process, and we're looking at suing Department of Communities and Justice for their failure to protect not just myself, but my three daughters as well, because they went through hell. So that's their own story, and that will come out eventually. But like I said, my story was the mother who, in the beginning when my girls were taken, I was so naive and stupid. I would say anything and do anything that everyone wanted just so I could get my girls back.
Well, that feels like the right thing to do, because that's how you survive school. That's how you survive relationships. You feel like when your back's against the wall and people don't necessarily understand you or can relate to where you're coming from, you go straight back to the mask. Right?
Exactly. And that's what I did. I went there. They told me that I needed to say that my father didn't sexually assault me. So I had to stand in a court and lie and say my father didn't sexually assault me. I did everything that they wanted, but there still wasn't ever enough. So like I said, I went through hell, and then I went and married and it was just because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because that's what society telling me, and then I'll get all my kids back. And it wasn't the best move, but it was something that I obviously had to go through. So I married my ex-husband. We spent 7 years together before he abandoned us. And again, his story, so we'll leave him to tell that. But when I was married to him is when I got my autistic diagnosis. So I was 28 years old.
And why did it take so long? Why did it take so long to get that diagnosis?
Because I was a naughty, schizophrenic, unstably mental person right up until I saw, I don't know, it's like Dr. Xavier. And I always think of the X-Men, Dr. Xavier. But and he was the one who says, well, you've got children with autism. Did you think that you might actually have it? And so he went through the testing process and all that, but he didn't want to public release anything because he knew that Department of Community Justice would try and use that against me. I mean, for a psychiatrist to say, I'm not going to, freely hand out this information to everyone because it'll backfire on you. That says a lot about what the world is like.
It does. I actually wonder just how many women over the years, previously have mental health diagnoses instead of a proper diagnosis of autism.
Yeah, well, think about it when boys were, back in the 50s, they were being diagnosed with schizophrenic and all that when they actually were autistic. But yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And girls are so much far behind.
Because their diagnosis was set up to particularly mirror boys and not girls, and girls often present really differently. And female-born children often present really differently. So, yeah, we get put in a different box, right?
Yeah.
So 28 when you got your diagnosis. At this point, had you ever held a job? Had you ever worked? What was happening for you?
I did, but I always got bored. So I would advance really quickly to the top and then be bored. So I think in 2008, I worked for a company called Voracious Business Solutions. I was a door knocker. Within a period of 6 months, I went from door knocker to manager and trainer, training 50, people every 3 days. So,
advance really quickly.
Yeah, and you get bored, and then you're always tired because you have to mask and fit in, and yeah.
So it wasn't easy to stay employed.
No, it wasn't.
Easy to get a job, but hard to keep it. Was that your experience?
Yeah. Easy to get a job, hard to keep it.
Yeah. Okay. So what made you decide that I'm going to start my own business? How did your business journey begin?
Well, I tried to run one with my ex-husband, but ended up failing for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I was single for a bit, and I was still trying to figure out where I wanted to go, and I hadn't quite mastered that yet. And then I started counselling with 1-800-RESPECT or stop.org, they're called now. Absolutely amazing. They totally understood, and it was all online. I didn't have to go anywhere or go into an office or anything like that. So that was great.
Brilliant, because that's so helpful for people that are neurodivergent, but it's also so helpful for people that are mothers to be able to access things online and not have to physically attend an office.
Yeah, so I had Christine. She was absolutely amazing. She helped me navigate my girls coming home, my new relationship with James, my new husband, unmasking, being my true self, and figuring out where I wanted to go. So she was a big part of it. My husband, he was like, well, what do you want to do? You've got a chance to do anything that you want and to be happy. What do you want to do? And I've always had a fascination with photographs and photography. I used to do a bit of film when I was younger. So it was always that thing. I always loved the old Polaroids, or I love watching, it captures things that I can't explain in words. It's a type of communication. So I decided to...
It's a visual communication medium. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And I went and signed up to TAFE. I did a certificate for, which, by the way, TAFE, the photography teachers up there are absolutely fantastic neurodivergent people.
Excellent to know.
And so supportive. Like, my mentors still support me today. You'll see them comment every now and then.
Excellent.
And I think every time I win an award, I'm always, I think the first award I won, my mentor Adam, he said he's never ever had a student like me, and he'll probably never ever have a student like me again, because I just see things so differently. Like, everyone can see it straight like that, and I'm like, well, you could do this, and this. So I made lungs out of roses and stuff like that, and just the way I see things. Or there's a picture up behind me, and it's got a shadow on her face, and it's literally a screen door. All that sort of stuff. But
yeah, it's really funny that you say that. I'm just having a little bit of a flashback memory. So when my youngest was born, my eldest kids came to the hospital to visit the new baby. And my son Rowan, as you know, has autism, and he's not a huge fan of babies. They're unpredictable and loud, and he's not a fan of them. And also hospitals, not a fan. So I actually gave him my phone with the camera to have a look around and do different things to distract him and give him something that is. And he took the most incredible photos, not of the baby, not of the people there, but of like the corner of the vent where the wind was blowing through, and it had a little whistle because there was like a bit of paper that was coming through, and like the corner of the window that had all these tiny, tiny little spider webs and stuff that nobody even noticed. Like the photos that he took of that room were none of the things that I noticed in that room. And they were the things that caught his eye. And they were really incredible and such an insight into the way that his brain worked, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, if you read some of the reviews on my Google, like some of the parents are like, wow, like she took this photo when we didn't even notice her take this photo. And it's just because we can't express our emotions appropriately doesn't mean that we don't see them.
Yeah.
And sometimes like our emotions are a lot bigger than, a neurotypical person. Like,
Yes.
It's when, like I explained to my husband, and this is fair, he's been really, really great with all this. Like when I love, it's times 3. When I'm happy, it's times 3. And when I'm angry, it's times 6.
It's 3. Yeah. Times 6.
We also get overwhelmed. And like right now, the dishwasher's stinking, so I can't sit in my house without wanting to tear the entire house apart. So I got a thing with smells. And all that sort of stuff.
But it's often mistaken for not feeling, where actually it's feeling too many
the other
things.
way around. Yeah, it's too much. So, and we just got to stim to let it out of our body. And well, at least that's my personal experience. Others might have different experience, but my personal experience is I got to, when I stress, I try and bite my lip, but I got no top teeth at the moment because I'm doing dental work. But I used to try and rip the skin off my lip. That's one of my stims when I'm like anxious or stressed or angry. I can't do that at the moment, so that's been a little bit difficult. But bouncing my knee, I'm starting to notice other stims that I do as well, like, without realizing. But paying attention to all that sort of stuff and being able to explain it. Explain it. Yeah. Other than that, like, I think being vocal about what I'm going through is also helping my own children vocalize as well what they're feeling.
Absolutely. And look, as a parent of a person who doesn't communicate with language mostly, being able to hear these things from people who can is really insightful. Because, I can only imagine and I can make assumptions, but being able to hear from different people and their perspectives gives me so much more insight as well. So I do appreciate hearing these stories on behalf of my son who can't express these things with language.
But he can show you the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he's very good at letting me know what he wants and what he doesn't want. But but being able to get, I guess, the in-depth kind of nitty-gritty stuff where I go, that makes sense, or that's why this probably happened. I can start to piece together.
He creates jewelry in that, doesn't he?
He does. He collects glass, and so it's the glass collecting that is really inspiring to him. And we didn't even think about the broken glass. We thought it was actually quite frustrating that my garage was being filled with tiny pieces of broken glass. And it wasn't until we tumbled it went, they are magic. They are magical.
Yeah,
look at the colors, look at the shapes. Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, wow, that's so beautiful. Like, and that's what he's seeing is that beauty. What he's seeing. That's amazing.
It makes sense now once we've read that, and and I'm so glad that he gets to share that with the world. And I'm so glad that you now get to share your photography and your point of view with the world. So as a person with a disability starting a business, what did you find the most difficult? What did you find easier? What do you how was your experience starting?
My experience starting was very hard. I started around COVID. So I had to adjust a bit, which is okay because I did a lot of landscape work. I did some work for Sydney Weather and all that, the Weather Channel. It was 2019. I did my first Christmas photos. And I had another photographer running around telling clients who had booked with me, don't go with her. She's autistic. I won't name them.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm above that. But yes. And
I can't believe that kind of thing still happens.
So that actually that really kind of broke my heart a bit because what does my autism have to do with my ability to do photos and stuff? But some people still came and they supported me and they're still supporting me to this day.
Did that ever make you stop and think, I don't want to be open and honest about who I am? Did that ever put pressure on you to keep that a secret?
It did.
What made you stick to your guns?
My current clients, which all of you are absolutely amazing, I know you're all watching this. And I because I didn't do it in 2020, So in 2021, I sort of held off. So 2022 is kind of when I went, okay, I want to try Christmas photos. So I went and worked at the Westfield Penrith fan asset, an absolute learning experience.
You said that so professionally. That was very diligent. As a parent who sat through
Yeah.
what a shit show.
It was. I ended up writing the CEO of company a massive long email because I almost died from COVID. I collapsed on set and all that because people
Oh
were
my
just
God.
inconsiderate. And I remember that parent sharing on Penrith area mums bragging about turning up to the set with COVID and then removing the post because people who knew me knew I was in the ICU and they ripped through her, which was really good to see. Someone like people standing up for me.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. But I mean, consider it.
I was working 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. You know, there wasn't a second manager. The area manager ended up quitting because of the lack of support. But in saying that, that's when the sunflower thing came out.
The lanyard.
Lanyard, yes. And Penrith Westfields and Westfields are the first people to start handing them out.
People might not know what that is yet. Can you just give a little quick explanation about what the sunflower lanyard
The
means?
sunflower lanyard is for people with disabilities, and it's kind of a non-in-your-face way of saying, hey, I have a disability. So when you hop on a plane or something like that, they'll know with your sunflower lanyard yet that you have a disability. So we were.
It's becoming much more common now, but a few years ago, not many people would have known what they were about.
No. So when it first came out, we were the first set to, because I had brought on board a lot of neurodivergent employees under me. So because everybody deserves a job.
Mm.
I think Sydney was one of them, and he was absolutely amazing. But the amount of abuse was also copped because we refused to move people's appointments because there was no room. We couldn't move her. And
You can't move. What is it?
hi to you, lady, if you're watching this. I remember you. You're still rude, and I remember what your face looks like. I actually ended up walking out crying from the set because she was that nasty. And then I calm down, come back in because you do that. And then she came to her original appointment, had her photo, walks out, and she goes, "I still turned up, but but not because of you." I'm like, "That's nice for you."
Was that on that photo, lady? Wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but and you do get that. I think a lot of people find they get shocked, like new clients, and they get shocked, like, "Hey, oh well, I'm autistic," or stuff like that. But I also have a lot of neurodivergent clients, so especially around Christmas time, and again, reviews are great. One of them, we'll call her H because I don't know if her mum will give him permission for her name. We'll call her H. She comes in every year, and she used to be quite shy and timid and all that, and now like there's videos of her dancing with the Wiggles with Santa and all that sort of stuff, and always make sure that my Santa is on point. Like he has to have the experience of dealing with neurodivergence, and my Santa actually has children with autism.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah. So your experiences with other photography businesses and their failings around supporting people with a disability, that's really shaped the way that you've grown and managed your own. Is that right?
Yeah. A lot of them do. And like they do, we have quiet sessions and stuff like that. But that's great. You can have those quiet sessions, but you got to be able to engage with that child. You got to be able to understand what their stress languages is and all that. Now, I might have a question here, like, do you have anything you want to tell me about your child? What helps your child? Like in the beginning, so we can prepare. So I knew H loved the Wiggles. So we had the Wiggles playing the minute she walked through that door,
So she felt safe immediately.
Yeah, and making it a safe environment for them as well. Yeah, but I think like some of the parents end up crying because I've managed to get the child to look into the camera.
Yeah,
and it's just like tricks. It's not like forcing them to do it, or just waiting for that perfect moment where they look in my direction. Snap, got it. And that's all that is just waiting for that perfect moment. And I guess that's why candid is my niche. Is I'm able to shoot whatever, anywhere, anytime, and get that.
And those things take time, right? Not in that 5 minutes that you get when you're pushing 10,000 people through Santa in Westfield.
It's 3 minutes.
Oh, it's 3 minutes. Oh my
It's
goodness.
three
I can
minutes.
capture anything in 3 minutes.
And their neurodivergent sessions, which they I think they only one day for last year, is a whole 10 minutes, and that's not
Yeah.
enough. So I give my neurodivergent clients longer.
So you've
Yeah.
got plenty of time then to make sure that you can capture the special moments. And
Yeah.
I guess parents that have struggled to get these special moments and memories with their children, because you do grieve for those things a little bit as a parent too, because you
Yeah.
want the memories and you want the photos and you want the look backs, and being able to miss the things that everybody else seems to take for granted, you do feel a little bit left out from those things as well. You grieve those moments. So it's worth every cent to get something like that
It
that
is.
you
It's
love.
absolutely worth every cent. I mean, I must be doing a great job because Luxury Escapes has me as a contract photographer to do all their family and surprise proposals. So
Oh, lovely.
doing something right.
Yeah. What's your favorite things to photograph?
Oh, kids.
Kids.
Don't
So
know.
funny
My
because so many
photographers
photographers
like
would say that would be their hardest.
no. Everyone say don't work with kids or animals. I'm like, weird. It's actually one of my favorites, and I can just make it work. Okay,
Yeah.
I can make it work. I can work with the kid. I build that relationship with them. You know, we have all this fun, and then snap. There you go. And then I've got all these beautiful photos, and the parents are like, wow. And I'm like, I feel good about myself. And I
Mm.
have learnt to toot my own horn.
Good. Good.
A couple of women have made me like really toot my own horn. One of them, Haley, there, and ages. I had, and also working with Kylie. Like Kylie's also, tooted my horn a bit. And when I was
Yes.
writing the books and all that, so I co-authored with some amazing women who are also either neurodivergent or they're very understanding. So that was a completely different experience as well.
Tell me about the book.
So I've got one book called Women Living Fearlessly, and it's about how we all started our businesses or we, done what we needed to do to get where we are. So my chapter is how I combated mental health issues, and, to get where I am, and the people that helped me along the way, like, mental health psychologists and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff, and the people that I work with today that really support who I am. Richard Fox, he was my business mentor at the Canada Chamber of Commerce, and he really like hypes me up. Maha, who's become like a mum to me, she really like supports and understands and really hypes me up as well. Australian Ladies in Business Initiative. I won their Overcoming the Odds last year.
Congratulations. I can see that little thing in the background there. Lots of awards behind you.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. These are all companies that support neurodivergence and the creativity that we have as well. So, International Street Photographer, 3 years running, most affordable photographer in Western Sydney, local business awards.
Well, how incredible. What amazing accomplishments. Congratulations in such a short amount of time. In such a short amount of time too, being in business.
Yeah. And now I'm with the WCW Press, who run the Women Changing the World Awards. So I'm also up as a finalist for that as well.
Oh my goodness.
So
that's amazing.
The world one at a time.
So one at a time.
But in Authenticity in Action, which comes out in April, I write about my autism and how it, in a bit more positive light than, this conversation that I've had, it's more in a positive light. Like, this was what I went through and this is how I accept myself today. I am this weird, wonderful person. I love coloring my hair. I love, I don't explain my stimming anymore, and I don't apologize for being me. I don't have all these fake people around me who are using me for their own benefit, which is also a common thing with a lot of autistic people.
It sounds like you've actually spent a lot of time cultivating a really supportive team behind you. Is that something you set out to do, or is that something that just kind of happened naturally?
I think that kind of happened naturally. And now I actually choose who I hang around with. But yeah, I think it just happened naturally, just putting myself out there, which is very, very scary. My anxiety used to be so bad. That's why I now have a Google Watch and it tells me my heart rate. But, it was so bad. Now my anxiety today is like what I started 6 years ago. And I used to be like a shaking mess. So I used to stand in the corner and be really, really quiet to I'm now in your face and you can't shut me up.
which is great. Which is really great. And it's really great to hear your perspective as well. And being able to hear from your, point of view is really incredible. And being able to see that. And it's certainly reflected in the awards that you've received as well.
Yeah. But having like I always say, and it is hard, but I always say if you just reach out, more, and the more we educate the world about neurodivergence, diversity and all that, the more people become accepting. And yeah, so I think a lot of places around here in Penrith are now starting to be a bit more accepting and all that. I know the Australian Federal Police have the Dandelion Project, I think it's called, and that's literally just neurodivergent people helping with cases and stuff like that, which I think is amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so
I'm going to have a bit of a Google of that.
Yes, you should. I saw it on an ABC iView program the other day, and I was like, that is absolutely amazing. This is what we need. So my neurodivergence, what makes my business so unique is I don't do what everyone else does. I do my own thing.
That's right.
And, yes, there's struggle street and all that, but it happens. And now I work with a different company on the side, going and doing school photos with kids and stuff like that. So, and high school kids. Oh,
that's intense. That takes a very strong constitution to be able to go and take it.
Hey, children, we absolutely love you, but please smile.
Getting teenagers to smile, but blood from a stone, impossible. For our dear, this is a weird question, and I hate. I still will ask it, even though I know that there's no such thing as balance. But how do you manage the balance between running your business and taking care of your health and well-being as a neurodivergent person? Making sure that you have is that a thing? Is that even true? Do we do that?
I do try. Like, I do have my times. If I'm on one of my job sites all day, I need to come home and decompress. Otherwise, it comes out in anger, and I don't like that. I don't like snapping or getting grumpy or anything like that. So everyone understands that mum just needs that little bit time to decompress, up to an hour at least.
Right.
Like even my husband, like, okay, yeah. And I do my best as an adult. Like, I'm a lot older, so I should know better. I do just try and decompress on the way home, doing things that make me feel lighter, like whether it's screaming a song in the car and not caring if, the nose picker next to you is watching, type thing, not having a fear of judgment helps. It is really, really hard, but you do need to make sure you take that time to decompress and relax. I think I got so bad 2023, I had to take an entire month off from everything because it was just too much.
So you've got the systems in place now, I guess, to avoid that happening again?
Yeah. So I will have certain days that I work and certain days that I don't. So, I try, like, I know most of my jobs are on the weekend, so I always try and have Mondays off. That's a given, unless I get called into the other job, but that's okay. But I'll always try and make sure I have one day where I'm just having fun or doing something with the kids. That work-life balance is still so tricky because we're told we have to do this and we need this, and you need the $3 million house and the $50,000 cars, and you need this.
And the kids have to have 17 activities in a week. And
none of my kids have any activities in the week, except for Harley, who has his dyslexia tutoring, and that's their choice. So I leave it up to my kids on what they want to do. I don't force them. So I actually listen to my kids quite well, and I guess because I understand, like, I don't want to do a million things. I don't like being out in society. I don't like shopping.
It's great because you've got that perspective with them as well, so you can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. Now, if anyone could help me figure out how to get them to get their rooms clean, I'm all ears open.
If anyone can figure out how to do that, I'm down for hearing that as well, because I've never been able to manage that.
Yeah, I'm all for it. But other than that, like, Ash now, because of my work, Ash now has a career path. So my 19-year-old who's level 1, level 2 autistic, she is now part of Bus Stop Media. So she's in the school part learning how to make movies and all that. So, and Bus Stop Media is also another great program, and I do some free
fabulous program.
It is. I absolutely love it. I got to be part of a movie with them. which was the best thing ever.
For those that don't know, do you want to just let them know what Bust Up Media is?
So Bust Up Media is a national Australian NDIS supported film school and production company. I guess one thing that they have to is, the assembly.
Yep.
Where they go in and neurodivergent and to people with disabilities go in and interview stars and all that. They actually run that, the assembly. Right. Yeah. And they help run it. And then, and then they make a lot of short films, all that sort of stuff. And then they, train and what is it? Well, people with disabilities and all that on how to do filmmaking and all that sort of stuff. There are some photos on my website and social media from what I did with them. And it's great to see. It's so inclusive. And the hashtag is inclusive filming. So
love it. Love it. Yeah, it's a great thing. So I guess if you could leave just one message to our listeners, like a key takeaway message about navigating your own business, navigating business ownership with disability, what would that be?
Something that I actually wrote in my book. Jump in feet first.
Yes.
Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Whether you're neurotypical, atypical, or whatever, it's our own little conscience will stop us from doing the things that we want and love because that's how society dictated us to be. Stop it.
Or it's our brain telling us to stay safe in a weird way, but it's really just telling us to.
You just jump in feet first. Don't look back. Just do it. If you want to start a career on something that you love to do, like I have, do it. I mean, look at me. I'm successful. And if you fail, you get up, dust yourself, try again. Find a different avenue. It's all about trying and being yourself, and don't fall to the clumps of what everyone else is doing. All right, everyone is an individual person with their own individual personalities and their own individual thoughts and opinions. Do what you want to do. Be happy. Don't fall into the same stuff that we always fall into. I mean, I wouldn't be here if I didn't jump 2 feet forward. If I didn't look up and that, and now I'm like so happy. I have a potential book signing coming. I've got another book coming out. I'm working on some children's books. Actually around disabilities and stuff.
Amazing. So, when you look back on little Sarah, could you ever imagine yourself being in this position?
No. Little Sarah wanted to be a veterinarian. And she still had all these big dreams and wanted to please people that were bad for her.
And look at you now.
Now I'm like, burn that bridge, live your life, be happy, because that's who we are meant to be. And I will always be a big advocate for that, to be who you are meant to be. Ask my kids. So
yeah. What an excellent role model you are. Look, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing your story today. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being open and honest about some things that aren't difficult. But like we said before we recorded, sometimes it's really important to be the voice for somebody that can't say these things out loud. So there is a little bit of a trigger there for some people, but for others, they need to hear it to know that they're not alone. So thank you so much for sharing.
Reach out to any of us. We're all here. Just talk to us if you need to know.
And how can people find you? How can people see your work? Spruik away. Where can we find you? Where's the best places?
Okay, so I got my website, which is www.saralouisephotography.com.au, and that can also connect you to my Instagram, which is Sara Louise Photographer. My Facebook's the Sara the Photographer, and TikTok Sara the Photographer. So
amazing. No, thank you so much. I'll make sure I pop all of those links for everybody so that they can find you easily and check you out. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the year comes for you, especially this book signing. I'd love to be there.
Oh, yeah. I'll make sure I send you the invitation. We're going up on Thursday. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.